he's so good at being able to help me put the pieces together. So I think that that's also been really, really helpful. We have really different strengths.
I had a friend that was renting some space in the building that Jess's parents own, and he said to me while I was visiting from Montreal, hey, you got to come by and check out the place. So I went over and he saw that Jess's car was parked outside, and he says, you know, the landlady's daughter is super hot, you should come and meet her. I said, oh, that's a really good idea. So we went upstairs to her parents' place and she wasn't there, and we talked with her mom, and her mom says, oh, you know what, you should go across the street, she's over there having coffee, go introduce yourself. I don't know if that was supposed to be a setup.
Knowing mom. Probably.
But if it was, it would be an interesting one, because she was over there having coffee with her ex, which her mom didn't mention, which was hilarious, and I didn't find out until after. But I did go over and we got introduced and kind of hit it off in a couple minutes with her poor ex-boyfriend sitting there, and me unaware.
I loved him immediately.
Yeah.
Like immediately. He walked into the coffee shop and like I had like stars in my eyes. And then, yeah.
Yeah, well, we hit it off, and we got married the next day.
Clearly. Yeah.
The next year.
Yeah. We were engaged within 6 months. You know, I never really believed in love at first sight. I thought it was crap. And then when he walked into the coffee shop, it was like a really extreme experience. I kind of felt like my whole life, like kind of tableaued in front of me. But, you know, obviously he was very handsome, but I don't know, there was just something about like him, like there was like this is gonna sound really woo-woo, but like something about his energy. And the part that he didn't tell is that, you know, he walked out of the coffee shop after we met, and like 10 minutes later, I followed him back and like went and found him in the building. So, I mean, I was hooked, definitely, right away. I always tell my friends that, you know, once I met Eve, like I didn't have a choice. Like at the time when I first met him, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I wanted to be single. I was having a good time. But as soon as I met Eve, like it was done. There was no choice.
I mean, we spent a lot of time with each other, you know, in the first like little while after we met, and I was living in another city, and I ended up kind of figuring out a way to move my business here, which was supposed to be kind of temporary, but it ended up being permanent.
At what point in your relationship do you think we should stop the business together?
Well, that's happened twice with us, where Jess has, in both times it's been Jess that has been, you know, surprise, surprise, the visionary, where she said, hey, I have this idea, because she sees someone doing something and not doing a good job, and she starts to think, okay, how could I do a better job at this? Do you think you could learn, or we could learn and figure this out? And me, I'm always kind of worked for myself, and I don't have any kind of limitations as to where I think that, you know, kind of I can go where we can go, so I'm always game.
He's so good at being able to help me put the pieces together. So I think that that's also been really, really helpful. We have really different strengths, and because we have really different strengths, it allows us to kind of stay in our own lanes, but also kind of figure out what that outcome is going to be. In both of our businesses, like our roles within the business have overlapped very little.
Immediately from the top, Jess knew what she had to do, and I knew what I had to do.
Yeah, we've been really lucky that way, that we really do complement each other so well. We have such different strengths. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like we've gotten so lucky that we're like these two puzzle pieces that just happen to fit together really well, not only personally, but also in business.
I feel like people will call bullshit if we say that we haven't gotten into huge disagreements when it comes to business, but I hate to say we haven't really. I think that like there's just been like working from home has its own
challenges.
Yeah, challenges, and so I think that sometimes Jess like talks really loud when she's on video calls, and when I'm in the next room.
I'm also like the kid that's like, are you finished working? Can we go play? Like, can we go for a walk? Do you want to go to Starbucks? Like, I'm the one who's like trying to pull him away from work, I think, more than the other way around. I think also part of the reason why we don't have massive disagreements, or really many disagreements at all when it comes to work, is specifically because we really respect each other in the roles that we play, right? Like, if I have an idea or like a vision for something, he doesn't really question it, which I think is super fortunate for me, because he allows me to think really big things, like the big, crazy, scary dreams. And he's always there just to say, okay, cool, so how are we gonna get there? And same thing with him, like there's just things that he really excels at that I will ask for clarification on, but I would never say to him, I don't agree with that. You know, and I think that what we've figured out that a lot of people don't figure out in partnerships is that in business, there's very rarely a right answer. It's just a matter of, you know, testing and seeing what works and trying things. And, you know, we're both really open to the experiment. And if something doesn't work, we're also both really easygoing about, you know, shifting directions and saying, okay, well, that didn't work. What can we try next to see if, you know, this is going to work better? And I think a lot of the time in partnerships, there's usually one person who really struggles with the concept of fail forward, and neither of us do. So I think that it's been really helpful that we both love to build things, we both love the challenge of it, but we're also very skilled at different things, which has been helpful.
We both, because I would say that if we weren't doing this together, then it would be different. Then it would be coming in the way of our relationship. But the thing is, we're both working towards the same common goals, and we both know what's going on and what we're working on. You know, when you have a job that you both love, and in a community that we love, then it's not that like if we're out or we're doing something and Jess is like on her phone, like she's supporting somebody, you know, answering a question, talking to one of our teammates, and I might be doing the same thing, you know, 5 minutes later. But we're not, the fact that we're in the loop with each other makes it not this one-sided thing where one person is just off and their mind is somewhere else. Like our minds are kind of in the same place, you know. And she can talk, and she talks to me about it, you know. So we talk to each other, you know, like, you know, I can say like, oh, what's going on, and she can tell me, and I know what she's talking about, and I'll have something to contribute.
For sure. And I also think we're pretty good at taking time off. Like, we don't work on weekends. And, you know, when, like, we have boundaries around work, like, yeah, every once in a while, like, something will happen and a member will need something and Eve will be like, hey, really sorry, like, I gotta go jump in and, like, help this person. But it's not all the time. So we do actually have a lot of time together, and work doesn't really interfere. In the beginning, did it maybe more than now, but
that's just how it is.
Yeah, when you're starting a brand new business, right? But we've kind of gotten to a point now where we have more than enough time to spend together.
Because we can work so independently from each other, and that's just been the dynamic, and it's an amazing thing that we've just jumped into our own separate roles, which is really managing two entirely different parts of the business, that we don't need to communicate a lot about that, and that causes its own problems.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, there's entire days where we don't talk. Like, we're both doing our own thing, we're working on our own thing, and then, you know, like 6 o'clock will roll around and I'm like, hey, right? So I think that every once in a while, like, I'm moving forward with something, he's moving forward with something, and then, you know, we've maybe forgotten to communicate about what's happening and we're going in different directions. Like there's been things like that for sure, but it's super easy to get back on the same page. It's just, you know, one conversation. If you're not comfortable, if you don't have the kind of relationship where like you love, like genuinely love spending 24/7 together, don't do it right now. Right? So I think that, you know, there's this cliched saying that you don't have business problems, you have personal problems that show up in your business. I think that's even more true for partners, couples that work together. A lot of the business issues and a lot of the business dynamics that are difficult in those businesses tend to be between husband and wife or partners or between the spouses or couple.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like a dynamic between siblings where they're used to dealing with their siblings or their parents in one way, and you know they treat and talk to other people a completely different way because there's all this history there, and then you know you get into business with them and there's all of that family history comes out, and there's the same version of that in a relationship. But if you set boundaries and expectations early on, if you're starting a business with your partner, then you can get ahead of a lot of that stuff, just by having conversations about what you know we expect from each other, and how we can treat this as an actual business and not just an extension of the relationship or something that we're doing together, you know, as a couple. Because not only is that going to be better, like business-wise, we're treating it like that because you should, but it's going to be better for your relationship too because you're going to have a little bit of separation.
Yeah.